Hi, so I'm gonna go in depth on the RG556 versus the Pocket 4. So it's probably not out, but I had made an unscripted version of this, and I just wasn't able to really talk about much, so I wanted to make it more accurate and just give a better explanation of everything. So I actually really beat on the RG556 because it seemed like a really bad handheld, but I've realized a lot about it since. I actually got an RG556 because of the reasons I'll be explaining later, and I got it on sale. It was around 164 USD after shipping. Um, and the regular 4, like Retroid Pocket 4, was 162 after shipping. So I actually count those as pretty much the same price. Let's be real, $2 can't change that much. Um, and that's the main thing about this video, like just keep it from that perspective. You might say, oh, the performance isn't as good for the price. Yeah, but when I got it, I got it for the same price and the performance matches. So those kind of things matter a lot. So the RG556 has this nice OLED 5.5, okay, yeah, 5.48, the 5.5 inch 1080p screen. This is so much nicer than like both models of the 4 in every way. First of all, it's OLED, and it's 1.5 inches bigger than the 4 lineup. And it's just a jump from 720 to 1080, which is important for things like game streaming. The most important in that is the size and the fact that it's OLED. A bigger screen is great because, well, it's just really nice. The OLED will have nice deep blacks and great bright whites. Just like in the background right now of the video, you probably see a sun, and if you have like a non-OLED screen, probably that whole area will be white. But if you have an OLED screen, then they can like individually change those pixels and say, oh, that pixel should be white, that pixel should be black, and you can like have these high contrast areas. If I just keep ranting about the good things, then there will be like a long segment at the end talk about the bad things. So I'm gonna go good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, and yeah. So the next part is its controls in general. It has Hall sensor sticks, it has Hall sensor triggers, but the 4 and 4 Pro have Hall concave sticks, a Vita D-pad on top. Vita D-pads are awesome for most people. I talked about hating them, but Vita D-pads are pretty good. Hall concave like joystick has a wide range of motion, which is awesome. So, those things are just perfect. But with the RG556, the main problem is the joysticks doing cardinal snapping. So this means that the joystick will tend to go in a cardinal direction. So if you're close to like up, but not up, the joystick will just snap to up. Apparently it also likes to snap to full distances instead of having an actual range of motion. And it basically just turns it into a D-pad. But hopefully this can be fixed through like software. I kind of doubt it though, so just keep that in mind when you're buying the device. The D-pad it's pretty good. I think I'll like it more than the Vita D-pad, but I know that most people won't. The triggers should be good. The button ABXY should be good. Everything else should be fine. It's just the joysticks to watch out for. Now the next good thing is the shell. So the device I personally got was the clear blue with no games. The important thing there being clear blue. So this shell is awesome because it has a glass look to it. It's just like a nice, you can like see perfectly through the device and see all the internals kind of thing. And I really like the blue texture on it. Next is like the grips on the like shell. The grips are really nice. It's comparable to like the Steam Deck, and it lends to your hand much better. Yes, you can get grips, for the Retroid Pocket 4 and 4 Pro, but those will you'll have to slot on, you'll have to carry. It doesn't actually give you anything better along the lines of like battery and screen and whatnot. So it just it changes a lot being able to have those extra beefy grips on top of it. Sorry for the cut right there, but just had something to do. The Retroid Pocket 4 has a much more like phone and like brick kind of look to it. It's really just like flat, and again, it's just like your phone, just a wider phone. So it's fine to have that like shape. It's good for pocketability, it's good for cases, but the thing is, it won't actually help in the like ergonomics category. And ergonomics is a thing that matters to a lot of people. You know, you want to be able to feel your device really well, and if you can't hold it for long times, then you don't get long play sessions. And that's one of the main things of these handhelds. So like being able to have these great just grips that are there and not have to hold something that's like your phone is awesome. Apparently the plastic on the shell isn't great. It's very fingerprint magnety, and it's gonna not look good. But as long as you are okay with cleaning it from time to time, it should definitely be fine. That's pretty much all. The next bad thing is software. So I wrote 100 words explaining analog controls not working well with Nintendo mode, but it seems to work now. And if you didn't know, there's a problem with analog triggers where it wouldn't register on Nintendo mode and it only work on Xbox mode, but it seems to just be an option if you hold down Nintendo and Xbox mode toggles. So then the next one, I'm not actually sure if it's fixed now, but it was a problem where if you had Xbox mode selected and then you restarted your device, then Xbox mode would not stay there when you actually got the restart, and it would be Nintendo mode again. It still show Xbox mode. All the buttons would register as Nintendo mode. But Avernix seems to be doing a good job of finding these problems and fixing them, so I expect it to be fixed probably when this video comes out. But watch out for that. Another bad thing is it's not actually that bad. It's just worse than Retroid's offerings. It's the key mapper. So the on-screen key mapper basically means when you press a button, it touches part of the touchscreen. And I love how fluid and easy Retroids is, but it just kind of sucks that it's not that good on Ambernick's side. Retroid has these macro remappable buttons, and they're really good because you just use them for hotkeys and whatnot. Ambernick has the Ambernick button, and editor put it on screen. It also has right beside it a home and back button. Let me ask you, which two buttons, well I guess three, but which buttons have remained on the phone as separate buttons forever? The home and back buttons. Why didn't they just take the home button and make them as one of them, and take the back button and make it the Ambernick button? The Ambernick button just pops up their Ambernick home menu, and it just doesn't really make sense to me why you would want to use the Ambernick home menu when you can have your own things. And the home button should bring up their Ambernick home menu if they really care that much. So it's what are you guys on about? This is annoyance. Apparently you can just use tools to change it. There's these key mapper tools you can get from F-Droid. So as long as you use that, you should be able to change it. But it's not good. Why do they have to do that? I don't even know how it'll work. I think you'll probably have to hold to do home, press back, to go back or something like that. Okay, so that was just a long part talking about bad software, but let's talk about good hardware. So, is the chip worse? It's just barely worse than the 4. So the RG556 has the Dimensity. No, the RG556 has the Unisoc T820, and the RG556 has the Dimensity 900. MediaTek Dimensity 900. So these two are actually very, very similar. And like clock speed wise, the 900 has two A78 cores at 2.4 gigahertz and six A55 cores at 2 gigahertz. The T820 has one A76 core at 2.7 gigahertz and three A76 cores at 2.3 gigahertz. And finally, four A55 cores at 2.1 gigahertz. So, I know this is not how it works, but if you just add the clock speeds together, then overall, the 900 in the Retroid Pocket 4 has an overall clock speed of 16.8. And the T820 on the RG556 has an overall clock speed of 18 gigahertz. So you can definitely see that the T820 has the faster chip, but single core wise, there's definitely more performance out of each core on the on the Dimensity 900. So they both have 8 cores and 8 threads, 4 GPU execution units, and 64 GPU shading units. GPU clock speeds lead in favor of the Pocket 4. The Pocket 4 has an 800 MHz GPU, while the RG556 has a 780 MHz GPU. That's a 97.5% difference, so it really isn't that much, and it won't really help out with anything lower than GameCube, Wii, Switch, etc. Those ones. So after all that, you might go, oh, okay, the T820 is pretty much the same, and yeah, let's be real, it pretty much is the same. But benchmarks kind of say otherwise. And again, RAM configuration on this might change how it actually comes out in benchmarks. But according to Gadget Versus, you have 429,133 on the Dimensity 900, and then you have 350,333 on the T820. So that is a pretty big gap. But then you go to Geekbench 5 single core, and that is 679 on the Pocket 4 and 658 on the RG556. So now you might go benchmarks. Well, they show the Dimensity 900 is better. But I missed one thing. That is multi-core. Multi-core is where the RG556 bites back. So it has... Okay, the Pocket 4 has a 2032 on Geekbench 5 multi-core, while the RG556 has a 2162. So you can see that's very close, but it is leaning in favor of the RG556. Instead of listing off my casual just regular Geekbench 6 scores, like I usually do, I'll explain why multi-core scores, in my opinion, matter more, and I think they just matter more in general. So, if you've seen any of my testing videos, you'll have seen a CPU float thing on the side, and they'll talk about CPU 0, CPU 1, all the way to CPU 9 or something like that. And those are just all the cores inside of the main computational processing. But the thing is, those aren't each one of those are actually working together. So just one of them, the single core score, doesn't matter as much as all of them working together. There's no emulators that are popular that actually use only one core. I can see things like Pico GB, I think that's what it's called. So it's a Game Boy emulator for the Raspberry Pi Pico. Could use one core, but that one's not popular. I said Pico GB, maybe one person knows what that is. So it's just multi-core that really matters the most. And again, all high-end emulators such as GameCube, PS2, and Switch will just utilize all of these cores. So you don't really have to worry about that part of it. Yeah. So just don't worry, oh, the single core score is less. It's yeah, it will be less, but the multi-core score will, fix that. After that, you'll say, well, hardware isn't great on the 556, but you actually have a 2x RAM jump from 4 to 8 gigabytes going from the Retroid Pocket 4 to the RG556. This is a huge jump, and I can see this being really good for super high-end games. And you can also have more emulators running in the background. Let's say you want to run like an SNES one, PS1, PS2, PSP, and then like maybe Switch and GameCube. And you might be able to have them all running in tandem. And it's just really nice to be able to do that. You can't do this on the 4 because of, half the RAM. And there's a reason why the 4 Pro has, double the RAM the 4 does. Alright, last thing in this video before I wrap it up is battery life. So battery life on the RG556 should be like terrific. It has a 5,500 milliamp hour battery, while the Retroid Pocket 4, these names are getting so mixed up in my brain, has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. And you might go, okay, 500 milliamp hours, sure, disregard that. That's probably like 30 minutes or something. And the OLED screen, might change a bit of it. But I want you to know, the chips have totally different TDPs. The RG556 has a 5 watt TDP, while the Retroid Pocket 4 has a 10 watt TDP. That will actually make a big difference in the battery life. And I've heard people report that you can get about 15 hours in PS1. And it's like, wow, that is a lot. So let's just wrap it all up. The 556 is awesome. It definitely has some compromises with things like controls, but it has almost the same, if not better, performance than the Retroid Pocket 4. It has some buggy software, which isn't awesome, but it hopefully can be fixed by people like Gamma OS and get the joysticks calibrated right. If the joysticks get calibrated right, I think that this device can be like a smash hit if they can actually do it fast enough. Everything else is quite simple, but the good stuff shines through. The screen is epic, OLED 1080p at 5.5 inches. The device's shell is awesome. Feels a bit cheap, sure, but it's gorgeous, it's clear, it's blue, it's everything. And it can run games at about a 2x resolution for GameCube, and then of course that means you can run your 5x resolution PS1. So scale it up. You can run about 1.5x resolution for PS2, and then you can run about 1x resolution for Wii. So those are big numbers. That's pretty good, and the battery life on it should be awesome, as I said before. So these devices are very close, and it's hard to make a decision between the two. But I hope this video. Wow, that was loud. But I hope this video helped you make an informed decision. And you may have noticed I'm at a school recording this. That's why the bell went out. Apparently it's lunchtime or something, but it's spring break, so there's no school. It's just on a timer. I hope you have a great day. And since you're here, I would usually say, subscribe or something. But I want to thank you for helping me along my journey to reach 100 watch hours. You watching this has probably given me 20 minutes. That's pretty good. So thank you for that.